whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
Question
And I showed you how deep the rabbit hole was.
It's the question
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question
And I showed you how deep the rabbit hole was.
I didn't say it would be easy.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
Question
And I showed you how deep the rabbit hole was.
It's the question
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question
And I showed you how deep the rabbit hole was.
I didn't say it would be easy.
The rabbit hole.
You got it there? You hear me? That's all that matters. This is the rabbit hole, everybody. I'm Rupert Roche, and I'm trying to figure out how to find the loose wire that we have somewhere. What about now, guys? I hear you.
Hello.
I
Hello.
found the loose wire.
Okay, well, there we go. Thanks, Wayne. I think we got her.
Sorry about
Goodness
that.
sakes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rabbit Hole here at KouvRadio.com.
Yeah!
This is the Rabbit Hole, show number 3, August 25th, 2013. Thank you for joining us. We are pretty stoked to be here.
I'm James Sweet.
That is James Sweet. I am John Fogel, your host, and back here in the background, hanging out, doing as best a job as he can do is Wayne. Sorry. It's okay.
I mean, thanks.
It's okay, Rippin. It's okay. We're all new here. So, anyways, interesting day. Interesting weekend. James, what did you have going on this weekend? How did it go, besides work?
Man. Well, I will have to say this, that I have discovered a new love. It's a simple one, but it's kind of like that when you open a new can of tennis balls, that smell. This is very similar. This is when you open that fresh can of Jif peanut butter and you take that spoonful.
Oh, spit it out. What is it?
It was so good. Just...
Is that what it was, a Jif peanut butter or something?
Oh, baby. I was out of peanut butter for a little while, so we wife went grocery shopping and we got some peanut butter and it was good.
Awesome. Well, I had an interesting trip into the studio. James is kind of, just let it be known that he's making me tell you this right now because I really didn't want to. But maybe it does have some significance to it.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it might have some significance. When James and I did the rabbit hole before, we had a whole bunch of weird stuff happen to us. Now, I am not one of those types of guys that's like totally mega conspiracy guy. Do I believe in conspiracies? Absolutely, wholeheartedly. There's no doubt in my mind. But I will say this.
This is precedent.
It is. It is. Again, I want to stress, I am not one of those guys, the government's after me. You know, it's not like that. But I do think this. Now, you guys are all pretty pretty learned out there in Radio Land. If you're tuned into this show, you are already privy to the fact that the government can tap your phones. They can look into your house. They can tap into your email.
Thanks, Snowden.
Right. So, and that in itself is disturbing. Now, James and I had phone issues before in the rabbit hole when we started talking to an old guest of ours named Stan Romanek. Some of you may have heard us mention him in previous shows. Awesome individual. The real deal, if you will. Yeah, we started having a lot of weird phone anomalies. Well, tonight was my first encounter with real people, I guess you could say. Now, I'm driving. Okay, I'm only a couple of blocks from my house, and an SUV gets behind me. Big deal, whatever. We're going up one of the main streets where I live in Oregon, and this guy, he pulls forward and ahead of me. He pulls up. First of all, he pulls next to me, and there's two individuals. They're about, maybe in their mid-40s or so. They look like NASA nerds. You know, like the guys that you see old pictures of. They have crew cuts and short-sleeve dress shirts with ties on. That's pretty much what these guys looked like.
Did they have the pocket protectors?
No, I didn't notice. Okay. I didn't notice any pocket protectors, but they looked at me and they were just like really stone-faced. They looked at me, I looked at them, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they think I'm somebody that they recognize or they know, whatever. Then they sped ahead of me. They were on the right lane, I was in the left lane. Then they hammer the brakes. Now, I'm a license plate looker. That's just what I do. It had U.S. government plates. Okay, that kind of was a little bit of a red flag, and I was like, oh, that's interesting stuff, whatever. But I kind of dismissed it instantly because, again, I hate those types of people. Government's taping me, man. They're following me around. I am not a paranoid schizophrenic. I am not. So, anyways, 10 miles later, and they're still behind me. I'm starting to get a little tripped out. Maybe not that far, but pretty far. We're going up towards the Portland airport, and I'm going to fake like I'm going to take a right. Now the paranoia is starting to get me a little bit. So I turn my blinker on. They turn their blinker on. I get almost to the on-ramp, and then I swerve back, turn my blinker off. They did the exact same thing. They mirrored me exactly. Now the bells and whistles are going off.
See, that's suspicious.
That is. It's weird. It's the same dudes in this SUV. So I get up to the next exit. I'm going across the mighty Columbia River, and I'm getting ready to take the exit. And I get on another highway going west. They're right behind me. They stay behind me the whole time. I call my brosif, James Sweet, and I'm like, listen, dude, this is what's going on.
It was adrenaline at its finest. Yeah. Made me spill my smoothie.
It did. Yeah, we should probably even show it on the podcast here in a bit. True story, folks. So I'm getting ready to take the final exit to get to KouvRadio.com's main HQ here, and I'm taking the exit, and they speed up like to where they're only like one car length behind me. I mean, I'm like, what in the hell's going on here? And then they break off and they take I-5 North. They went across. They didn't go across a median or anything like that, but where the paint is, and if you're getting off a main road and you're exiting, there's the paint. They went right over that. They got right on my butt, took off, and went I-5 North and continued on.
Kind of a psych kind of
deal. Like I don't know.
I'm just curious if these could just be disgruntled Oregon Beavers fans. Because they know you're a Duck.
That could be. They have
and
the
they're
Duck
just,
plates.
It could happen.
Go Ducks. So, anyways, I just wanted to air that out. Actually, I really didn't, but
there it is,
you
folks.
had to. Well, this kind of makes people.
It's odd. It is odd.
It is odd, and it's worth mentioning. I think, in the long run, I think it's worth mentioning. I'm not real paranoid. They want to stop and have a conversation. I'm more than happy to get out and let's have a talk. But I don't like this "we're watching you" type of thing, and I can't imagine why they would be. Why would they be? Because I'm on a sleepy little radio show, and I mean, what? Am I the kingpin in the whole disinformation act? You know what I mean?
We're harboring secrets.
Right. It was borderline ridiculousness. I was just like, God, what? Is this what our taxpayer dollars is going towards?
Because YouTube is not public access anymore.
Right. I feel silly talking about it, but you know what? This really happened, and the events I just unfolded before you really happened. It really did. So, take it for what it is. I hope you're listening right now, you bastards.
Well, that's a long.
It's a long
following sequence.
It's a long trail.
I'm 15 miles from here.
And
turn for turn.
Granted, it's major freeways, but still, that's just kind of a weird route.
It's odd.
Yeah,
it's very odd.
I mean, I drive between Oregon and Washington a lot, and I rarely take that route. I mean, there's tons of other routes that I take.
Yeah.
Unless I'm coming specifically here. I've taken that like 3 times.
Well, it could be, too, is that we've had them, obviously we've had phone taps before.
Mm-hmm.
I got a feeling they gave you that stare because they're like, somebody's making them tell you, and they're bored out of their minds, and they're like, quit talking about it so we can do something different with our lives.
Exactly.
This sucks.
All right, I'm on this assignment because I'm terrible at what I do.
We're bored.
I don't know, folks. You guys, take it for what it is. Take it with a grain of salt or a big dose of cow shit. I don't know. It is what it is. That happened, so I'm putting it out there. So if I disappear anytime soon, you guys know what that is. Yeah. And meanwhile, in other news, this one is a lot more disturbing to me, believe it or not. Now, we've had a lot of instances going on with the International Space Station right now. You familiar with that, James? You saw that they had a sighting out there. It was August 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is not the first time, folks, that this has happened. Now, the International Space Station, NASA actually has a live feed cam that's on pretty much 24/7. If you have satellite, if you have cable, you have access to this.
Now, is this the clear image with the disc?
No.
Okay.
No. But I will get to that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Because I saw that earlier, and that's a great shot.
It is. It is a really good shot. Now, check this out. August 19th, astronauts see an unidentified flying object within yards of the space station. It was a bell-shaped object reminiscent of the Kecksburg, Pennsylvania incident in the mid-1960s. Those of you who are not familiar, the Kecksburg incident happened in like 1966, I believe. Hundreds of witnesses saw this thing break into the sky. It landed, caught fire. I mean, there were civilians came in there and checked it all out. There was a kid in particular. I forget his name. I'm going to try to get him on. He's not a kid anymore. Elderly gentleman, but he was just adamant that this thing was extraterrestrial. It was a bell-shaped object that seemed to be solid. So when I say bell-shaped, imagine like a Hershey's Kiss or something like that. It was solid, and it had some weird writing on it. What does that remind you of?
Well, we
almost hieroglyphic.
Right, which is reminiscent of what was seen on these drone craft.
And Roswell.
And Roswell, yeah.
The stuff that I believe is Captain Jesse Marcel showed his son, Jesse Marcel Jr., and he let him hold it and look at it. And he actually, one guy did a graph. You can look at this, look this up on the internet. It shows you what it is. They try to explain it away as, well, that's just what we did on this Project Mogul, the hot air balloon, where it was nuclear ballistic testing, where they could tell high up in the atmosphere, in the ionosphere, if the Russians were practicing or doing nuclear detonations, practice runs and that kind of a thing. So, I think we're having a flyby. Anyways, the Russian officials claim to have identified the object as the antenna cover from the Zvezda. Sorry, my Russian's not very good. Zvezda service module. Now, when I looked at this, did you look at this, the August 19th footage? I mean, it's almost believable that it could be. And this is going to tie into the Kecksburg thing. It almost looks like it could have been what they're saying it is. Because it didn't do any lefts or rights. It just kind of hovers and floats around. It seems to kind of turn, lulls lazily as if it were just floating in space. Mm-hmm. But, which leads me to the Kecksburg thing again. I have to keep referring to this because it was also bell-shaped. But it was like old Soyuz type technology, I believe, that they may have found in Kecksburg, which makes it kind of some believability to it that it could have been man-made. Even the Kecksburg thing. Now, to add to the Kecksburg thing, these kids and these other civilians in the town in Kecksburg actually did witness this thing. They looked at it. They couldn't touch it because it was super hot. It just came in from the atmosphere, of course. But the whole area was shortly thereafter cordoned off by the military. The United States military came in, cordoned off the whole town, and it was just like Roswell all over again. You didn't see this. You didn't hear this. You didn't see us. They showed up with a big flatbed truck. They got a large equipment to dig this thing up. They took it out, put it on this flatbed, covered it in a tarp, and drove it out of there. Now, it wasn't just U.S. military personnel. These were soldiers. These guys broke off into small groups and basically cordoned the whole area off with, M14s.
Right.
So it was kind of a big deal. So it kind of begs the question, was it man-made or was it not? Maybe it was. That would still warrant military personnel.
Well, the interesting thing, too, is how quickly the military responded to... It was like they were waiting for it. So either they had...
1966.
Right. So either they had, the knowledge that it was having issues and coming in, or it was a test project that they were, knew had a failure in flight. And
sure. Right, and they knew what its trajectory would be. Well, another thing about this is I really do believe that probably was Russian-made, and I do believe that this Zvezda antenna cover, that could probably be too. Now, that being said, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is dismissible. What I'm trying to do here is show you that you don't have to believe everything out there is a UFO. However, this also regards the ISS, the International Space Station. Several UFOs were reported near NASA's ISS on April 18th and 19th of this year, 2013. Reports were made by astronauts outside the space station. Now, this is the one that I think you're talking about that had the discs. These, to me, these are my words, they kind of moved like jellyfish. When you see jellyfish in the water, they kind of, they give that little bloomp, and they take off, and then their tentacles, or whatever, that sting you, trailing behind. They kind of move like that. Now, if something is in space and it's moving on its own cognition, and it's just moving on its own weight, or for whatever its area of origin is, it's going to go the same speed. These seem to speed up and slow down and speed up like a jellyfish swims in the water. I found that really interesting. You people out there in Radioland can actually check this out. It's very interesting. And these are on the NASA's live feed cameras. These are not rare occurrences. Now, these astronauts, is it fair to say they're trained observers? A lot of them are pilots. A lot of them are PhDs, doctors, professors. Pretty intelligent folks. Granted, they're getting bombarded with radiation.
Well, I'm sure they've had some sort of...
It doesn't make them stupid.
I'm sure they've had some sort of debriefing ahead of time about what could possibly be out there as well.
Right, but these live feed cameras, sometimes they'll just go black, because I'll watch them, just to see if something's going to go down. And sometimes they just black out. Now, it's almost...
Weird.
Yeah, kind of funny. Oh, malfunction, as the giant triangle goes by, It's just kind of weird to me. The reason it's weird to me is not that they would turn the cameras off, but that they would leave them on. That's what's weird to me. It's almost like they're trying to break us in slowly. I mean, they're getting a little more and more transparent, or they're given the image that they are. But I just find that really interesting. I mean, we're seeing some real crazy space anomalies out there around our space station and our upper atmosphere around the sun, and they're sharing this with us pretty openly. So it's almost like we're in the middle of a breaking in point kind of a thing.
Well, I mean, with the recent approval of Area 51 being recognized as a legitimate base now, it's just that little tidbit, that little grain of salt that gets, put out in the open. And
right. Because Area 52 is the real one, or Area 50 is still the real one. And
which is funny, just veining off of that, I was watching some old UFO Hunters episodes, and they were at the Dugway Proving Grounds. And when they were stopped by the officer and they talked to the public affairs lady there, when they said their goodbyes, the look on her face was priceless. If you guys out there ever watch UFO Hunters, check into that episode, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's pretty funny.
I know what you're talking about. It is pretty good.
She's all polite and cordial, and then as soon as they say, thank you very much, goodbye, the look on her face was priceless.
It was. Yeah, here's the thing. It's funny. Everyone likes to joke about how stupid our government is, and in a way, they're right. Certain things they are. It's crazy how they can have all this technology and all this intelligence gathering capabilities, and yet still be so goddamn stupid. You know what I mean? Like they'll miss they'll miss one little thing, but that right there is kind of like the main cog in the wheel that helps you prove what you're saying is true.
Right.
It's bizarre to me.
Which, and I think Don Schmidt said it best, is nothing happens without a reason. Most things, especially in this field, are out there purposely.
Right. Absolutely. So. Now, that also, I want to add on to more International Space Station stuff. And people, I want to open your eyes. I want you to look at this stuff for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Look for it. Go ahead and get on there yourself. Don't take my word for it. Do some of your own research. It's mind-blowing. January 23rd of this year, 2013, there was a photo that appeared on the NASA website, okay? Now, are they going to put stuff up that's BS? Because it's going to make them look stupid, right? I mean, they're going to put stuff up there that's kind of significant for whatever reason. And this, again, is kind of what I like to call the, in parentheses, breaking in period. There was an enormous triangular object near the ISS. NASA dismisses it as space debris. And the reason I'm laughing like this is because that is so ridiculous. If you guys saw this photo, it'll blow your mind. And in fact, you can. My source is unknowncountry.com. Look at this.
Really?
It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Around the same time, January 23rd, 2013, around the same time, there was a large number of triangular-shaped craft sightings on the ground, mostly in the United States. And those of you who are not familiar with the Belgian craft of 1990 that started the whole triangular-shaped craft craze.
The flap.
Oh, absolutely. It was a flap. This looks very much like that. Except for that one seemed to have kind of rounded edges. This one looks like a friggin' Dorito. It looks like a giant black Dorito just hovering just above our atmosphere. It's a still photo, so I don't know if it was moving or not, but it looks like it's just kind of hovering there. And this thing looks massive. I heard a gentleman say he was a witness to the 1997 Phoenix Lights. He said that this craft was so large because someone was saying, oh, it was a stealth bomber. He says, look, you could land all of our stealth bombers on this thing.
Wow. Easily.
That's how big I think this thing was. Maybe even larger. I mean, it looked massive. You have your only scale is the Earth itself. But those of you who have seen pictures of the Earth from space, sometimes you can see the whole Earth and it's really round. But if you get really close to the Earth and you've got that horizon and then it's just blackness beyond that, and it almost looks flat. So that's how close you are to the Earth. So this photo was taking, you can see the porthole. It's looking right out of a porthole. The astronaut takes this photograph. It looks many, many miles across. If you went from one triangle to the next, from edge to edge, roughly that'd be 1/3 of the length of this vehicle, being it's Dorito shaped. I would have to guess 20 miles, maybe.
Wow.
It's massive.
That's huge.
It's incredible. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything like this in our atmosphere. So obviously this thing is able to let go of smaller craft or something like that. I don't know. It's mind-blowing, and I strongly suggest everyone out there take a look at it. It's going to blow you away. Now, this is not on, supersecretufos.com. This is on NASA's. This is on NASA's website. It's the hiding in plain sight thing. Space debris, please. I am not a NASA scientist, okay? But I'm pretty sure I can even identify space debris. You know what I mean? Space debris out there just floating around. A fuel tank or an antenna cover even. I can believe that. That antenna cover looks kind of like it almost looks like it's wrapped in foil. You know what I mean? It has that man-made texture.
Right.
Like some of the stuff we throw up in space and these satellites, it just looks like junk made from high schoolers, you know what I mean? They put it together in science class. Let's blast this fucker up and see what happens,
Right.
See if it transmits anything.
It's got some plumbing insulation.
Right. Is that PVC? One of those things. So anyway, we gave you folks a little bit to think about. We're going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to come right back. So stand by for us here. We've got some more good material for you. And also, we have failed to give out the phone number. I remember the the producer did, so he's going to slap me twice when we go off the air. 360-977-5483. That's 360-977-LIVE. Give us a call. Let's talk about some stuff, like interesting stuff, too. We want anything and everything you got, even if it's paranormal type stuff. Bring it. We'll be back.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
Question that brought me.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
It's the question that brought me.
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question that
And I
brought
show
me.
you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I didn't say it would be easy.
Question that brought me.
The rabbit hole.
All right, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome, welcome.
Some good tunes there. That was, you listened to some track 3 from me and my buddy Steve's band, Put Together Wrong, a little song called Darkest After Dawn. And the song you were just listening to there was James Sweet and his buddy Gabe put together that song, When the World Is Over. Fantastic tune. Love it. So, James, you have something you want to share with us or get us thinking about here?
Well, I think, you know, I was thinking about this earlier today, and, you know, when you do this type of public forum, you know, sometimes people, you know, have this, I guess, the DJs or whoever is hosting the talk forum has this obsession with whatever topic it be. And, you know, for the listeners out there, they may, you know, why do we talk about this stuff? Why do we talk about UFOs? Are we trying to prove to people, you know, that this subject is real? I don't think so. I think for my, you know, I've had my own experiences, and which, you know, we will get into, you know, in future programs. And I don't expect anybody. I don't try to convince anybody of anything, and I don't think you do as well. I think for us, as hosts of this show, I think we just find this subject so fascinating, and so to the core of both of us. I think it's kind of like our own private search for our knowledge and
sure, a type of therapy, if you will.
Right, a type of therapy,
else.
exactly. And so, you know, for those out there who that know us, especially, a lot of people don't know that we talk about this stuff.
I know. I tell people at work that, you know, I host a radio show with my buddy James, and they're like, "What?"
Right. Well, it's
what do you guys talk about? You know, they think we're with, you know, horns and hey, it's our Goofy, you know,
right.
Welcome to the zoo. And it's nothing like that. It's actually, this is so serious, people, to us that you have to add some levity to it, because it's a heavy subject. It's like super high gravity subject, and especially when you've had the experiences that James and I have had. Now, that being said, don't get the wrong impression of who we are.
You're not here to eat us.
It's one of those things that you have to, like what James was saying earlier, it's like there's little grains of salt, you know, and it's one giant recipe. It's like you're trying to cook this product. You don't know what it is, but you know it needs a grain of salt, so you throw it in. And it's just, it's mind-boggling, and it's frustrating.
It's hard to digest.
It is hard to digest, especially if you're an experiencer. And then, so, you know, I agree with you for the most part on your assessment of how I approach it. But for me, maybe more so for me, I do want people to believe, I guess. I want them to, because I know it exists. I know it's real. I'm not trying to sell Santa Claus or a leprechaun for St. Patty's Day or the Easter Bunny.
Right.
However, the Rabbit Hole Bunny is pretty cool, gotta admit. By the way, you're listening to the Rabbit Hole on KouvRadio.com with John Fogel and James Sweet. Give us a call at 360-977-5483, 360-977-5483, or you can just go live instead of that 5483.
Well, you know, I think when we started this show, you know, speaking of our experiences, I was into the subject prior to my main base of experiences, which I believe to this day started when I met my wife. And with that being said, after my experiences happened is when I really delved into the info, started absorbing as much as I could of the subject. And then you start getting frustrated with it. And this subject can drive you nuts. I mean, there's so many different angles and hypothesis and
right. Plus, the human mind, we're hardwired to rationalize what we just saw and dismiss it. We're just hardwired for that.
Right.
You know, some people maybe not so. They're like, they live in fantasy land. Believe me, James and I do not live in fantasy land. We're pretty scientific about our approach on this type of stuff. And I mean, that's another reason why I started out by basically debunking the ISS, the Zvezda Bell, you know, that we saw there, the antenna cover. I think that was truly what they say it is. And I think the Kecksburg incident was also. I just don't. It doesn't reek of extraterrestrial intelligence to me. It reeks of human stuff, you know, top secret flight stuff that they want to keep secret. They wanted to gather some intelligence from the Russian space program, you know. But there are a lot of other things that I can't just go, yep, you know, like the Phoenix Lights.
Right.
Give me a break. Oh yeah, it was an F-16 dropping flares. You know what? You know.
Well, I think that they actually threw that out there as well, just to throw it off.
The thing that came out shortly after the Phoenix Lights in 1997 was Fife Symington, who is a former governor of Arizona, saw it himself. Mm-hmm. He saw it himself.
Right.
Now, make no mistake. Okay, he's a government. Yeah, we don't really trust the government. I get it. But this guy's also a former fighter pilot. This guy was doing what they're saying was happening.
Right, and
dropping flares.
And after he made a public ass of himself, he felt like a complete douchebag, and now he's on the level with people, and
right. And I really feel bad for him. Right. I think that was more of a public relations.
I think it was
thing.
A pressure thing.
I think it was too, and I think that he regrets it deeply. And maybe we can get him on here sometime. We can talk about it with him. Fife Symington, he's a pretty interesting cat.
But as far as going back to, you know, talking about why we do this, and is, you know, not trying to push the subject on people. And I think this subject, people will accept it when they're ready to accept it. I don't think it's an individual thing. You know, we've had so many synchronicities upon which happen when you're ready for them to happen, and same with your experiences. Right. You know, this stuff is so controversial.
Yeah,
and it's so, people are afraid to talk about it because of the conditioning of ridicule and and so on and so forth. But this subject has so many benefits to it as well.
It does.
And if you can get off the couch, you know, do some research on some of the things that we talk about, you'll start finding that, you know, there's validity to this, of what we're saying.
Absolutely. Now, James just keyed up on something there, synchronicities. Now, those of you who are not familiar with synchronicities are things that happen between an individual and somebody else, whether they're, usually it's going to happen with somebody that they're kind of close to, the synchronicities. I think that more often than not is the case. I'm going to give you an example of synchronicities. My buddy Steve Alloway, very dear friend of mine. I mentioned him last week, and I did a little obit for his father who passed away last Saturday. Now, listen to this, and this is true, you guys. We're not making this up. Here's an example of synchronicity. Okay. Now, my buddy Steve's dad got the news about his cancer, his stage 4 terminal cancer, on July 16th. Okay? July 16th is the same day my father passed away from the exact same cancer. Okay? August 7th is my wife Melissa and I's anniversary. That is the same date as Steve's sister died in a car accident like 35 years before. The 9th of August is my son AJ's birthday. That was the day that she actually passed away. So the accident was on my anniversary. She passed away on the 9th. If I'm reading this correctly. The 17th is also the day my father passed away, or his father passed away, is also Steve's anniversary.
Wow. Another
significant day. So, and here it is again, folks. My dad's birthday also. Now, those are synchronicities I don't think that can be easily dismissed. Now, if it was just let's just say it was my dad was diagnosed with cancer on the day that my dad died of cancer. That's weird. But the fact that his dad actually passed away on my dad's birthday is even weirder.
Right.
And then to compound that, add the other 3 or 4 variables I just threw in there.
There's a lot of connection.
There
going
is. And I don't think that's on accident. I don't. I'm not a Bible thumper, and you won't hear me doing that stuff, but I do believe in something else.
Right.
Because I have experienced it. I know there is something else. I know that when we leave this body, we go somewhere else, and it's way better. Okay? I will give you that, because I've experienced it. I know there is something else. We'll get into that another time, too, but I just think that everything is tied in. I think everyone that you're close to, there is a reason for that. I don't think it's just compatibility or the fact that you sired a son or a daughter or such and such was your dad or so and so was your aunt. I think if you're really close with somebody, there is a reason. There's like some guiding force behind it that it's food for thought. It's something to look into. Synchronicity is a big deal. Now we have a buddy. What do we usually call him?
The wanka.
He's the wanka. But his name is Lauren Cutts, and he's a super cool dude. This guy is very, very much involved in the weird and the strange and the paranormal. He had his own show called High Strangeness on another network, and he's a pretty knowledgeable cat. And we hope to have him on the show really soon to help kind of level out the synchronicity thing, because he really has dove into it over the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of our goal. I know that doesn't sound very...
Lauren he'll really go into detail on a lot of things, and it'll be a great show to listen to when he's on.
Absolutely. And tell your friends. We'll let you know. We'll give you a heads up on it, and hopefully we'll put it up on our website, which is Facebook, deepintotherabbithole.com. I strongly suggest you go check that site out. We've got some useful tips and tools on there, and cool insights on certain things that you've maybe never heard of before. Again, that's Facebook, deepintotherabbithole.com, and check that out.
Actually, it's facebook.com Deep Into the Rabbit Hole.
My bad. Sorry.
/ Deep Into the Rabbit Hole. Sorry. There we go.
James Sweet is our webmaster. I'm just a mouthpiece, man. Thanks, dude. That's where you want to go. Go check it out. And also go to KouvRadio.com and see if there's any other shows that might spark your interest. We have a Edge of Normal Paranormal show hosted by Kenny. I call him Bigfoot Kenny. I don't even know what his last name is, but he's Bigfoot Kenny to me. And he's on Mondays at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific. And he's worth giving a listen to also. Don't go on that website if you want to see a picture of James and I, because they're not up yet.
They're not, are they?
No, but we got pictures. We got pictures up of us on Facebook, deepintotherabbithole.com. You want to see our ugly mugs if you're not watching us right now.
That's right.
So,
Peace.
Right. So, anyways, give us a call at 360-977-5483, 360-977-LIVE. Give us a call. Tell us your stories. We've talked about a great many things tonight. We talked about the International Space Station and these trippy sightings that are being reported by trained astronauts. So, this wasn't, Cheech and Chong out in, San Bernardino. Dude, did you see that? These are astronauts that are outside of their space station seeing things that they don't know what they are, and they cannot identify them. That should make you think a little bit. Real deeply, actually. There's... right. Space debris. It's everywhere.
It's not real.
Right. There's a lot of space junk out there, but they don't look like giant Doritos hovering over the Earth that are 20 feet or 20 miles across.
Don't you know that we are the most intelligent creature in the entire universe? I mean, come on.
Right. Let's put things into perspective, people.
Sorry, I was just wondering if it was a Cool Ranch Dorito, but I'm too late on that.
Well, it might have been the one at the bottom of the bag that got burnt.
Yeah.
So, and let's put things in perspective. Now, I'm trying to remember this doctor's name. Now, he had a...
Mengele?
No, a formula. He had a formula that was up. Basically, he talks about the possibilities of intelligent life in the universe and how prevalent it has to be.
Michio Kaku?
No, not Michio. This guy, he was a part of... I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here. This guy was a part of creating SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. The Drake equation. That's what it's called, the Drake equation. Mm-hmm. So basically, it comes down to this. Now, keep in mind, there are more stars. Now, I'm not talking about planets. I'm talking about stars. Obviously, our sun is a star. There are more stars in our universe than there are grains of sand from every beach on planet Earth. That's a lot of stars. Now, each one of these stars, let's be conservative here. Let's say each one of these stars has only 3 satellite planets that goes around it. That still is an unbelievable amount of possibilities. Basically, what he came down to, he came to some number, and it was like 10 million super intelligent societies out there in our universe. So he was like, well, let's get even more conservative. He goes, and he like slashed it to like 1/10 of that. It came down to like 100,000 super intelligent forms of intelligent life out there in our universe, and just our universe.
Right.
So if you want to play with the idea that we live in a multiverse, and
expand upon that.
I mean, let's be real here. Now, this is science. This is not John and James and the rabbit hole talking, oh, let's be hopeful. This is a fact. This is the way it is, guys and ladies. We have to be realistic about it. When people say be realistic, those are the people who are really closed-minded, and they're like, hey, we are the most intelligent thing. We're the pinnacle of creation. Everything revolves around us. We need to get away from the world is flat theory and expand our minds a little bit. Because clearly we are...
Aliens are demons.
Right. We need to expand our minds and really think about the possibilities out there, because they're out there. And I know there are people listening right now who want to share a story, and they're afraid. Now listen, this is a judgment-free zone. We'll give you the podium, and you can tell us your story here at 360-977-5483, 360-977-LIVE.
You know what we need to do? We need to get the deep voice caller. Oh, this is so and so. I've got a deep voice thing, so you can.
Oh, like Deep Throat? Like no, wait a minute. You guys, you're sick.
Not that way.
You know what I'm talking about. Deep Throat, like the informant that was on the X-Files. That's what I'm talking about. Damn it! God. Sick people. That is kind of hot, though. Anyways, we're going to take a little break here. We gave you a little more food for thought. We're going to come back and talk about some more paranormal type stuff.
If you're out there, give us a call. We know you've seen something.
Right. You know, like I said, it's a judgment-free zone. We're not going to sit here and judge you. We're not going to give you any crap. You need to...
Well, we may give you crap.
Yeah, we might. Yeah, hey, listen, if you're a nut, save your breath. We don't want to hear from you. I know some of you might think we're nuts, but we want the real deal. And as long as you're authentic and genuine, we're gonna give you a platform to help people understand a little bit how prevalent it is that crazy stuff happens to people and they don't have an outlet for it. We're gonna give that to you.
Yeah. So if you've seen something, think you've seen something, know someone, know a story, call in and tell it to us. We want to know about it and.
Love to hear it. 360-977-5483. Give us a call.
You're in the rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen.
take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question that brought me.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
It's the question that brought me.
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question that
And I
brought
show
me.
you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I didn't say it would be easy.
It's the question that brought me.
Welcome back to the Rabbit Hole, ladies and gentlemen, at KouvRadio.com. I'm John Fogel.
This is James Sweet. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We got some stuff we want to talk about. You wanted to talk about Dr. Jonathan Reed, I believe, right, James?
Yeah, there's a case. I got to get my dates here. This was back in the 90s, and this was up in Washington, and this guy was taking a walk up in, I believe it was near Mount Shasta. Or not Mount Shasta.
Rainier?
Rainier, sorry. And he was just walking his dog. This is a normal routine for this guy. And ran across, his dog took off on him and ran across something unusual. His dog had a hold of what appeared to be a small person. And it basically just destroyed this guy's dog. So he hit this thing, grabbed a stick, and hit this thing. This is a story that circulated in the UFO community a while back, and it was a pretty bizarre case. Now, you can check this out on YouTube. You can check out Jonathan Reed, full video, obelisk video. There's several different versions of it. Now, I wanted to bring up this. My wife and I had an experience. This was back in, I believe, around 98. It's about the time. I'm horrible with dates, but we went to the Oregon coast, and it was kind of a late night, last minute run, and we went to Cannon Beach, and we stayed at the Shiloh Inn. That's right there by the casino. And it was kind of late. It was probably about 10 o'clock or so, 10:30 when we arrived. And we decided we'd just go out on a little late night, walk on the beach in front of the hotel there. And this was prior to the knowledge of this event that Dr. Jonathan Reed had. So I had no knowledge of this. And so I had, because of my nerdy UFO obsession back in the day, I had
way back then.
I had a night vision monocular, and I think I had a set of regular binoculars as well. But we were just walking on the beach for a little bit, and I saw something in the distance, a light in the distance, way out in the ocean. And as I'm looking at it, I point out, the light to my wife, and out of the corner of my eye, out of nowhere, between where there's a walkway between the two buildings of the hotels as you're going to the beach, out of the corner of my eye, something appeared out of nowhere. This thing was probably about 30 feet off the ground.
Now, when you saw it off in the distance, it was lit up.
It wasn't lit up.
Was it lit up through the binocular or with a blind eye?
This is just something I just caught out of the corner of my eye.
Okay.
To the right of me. This thing, at first I just thought it was a huge bird, but it was so bizarre. And the weird thing about it just seemed like time stopped. But this thing kind of just appeared out of nowhere, out of the corner of my eye. I see this thing. It banked left, hard left, and just flew right over our heads, about 20 feet maybe above our heads. This thing wasn't very big. It's maybe about the size of, I'd say, your typical pallet. Maybe 4 feet across in length, and it had the kite shape. It was like if you were looking at a traditional Ben Franklin kite, had that appearance. You could see a little bit of a luminescent glow in the nose of the thing.
Could you tell if there was there any like air distortion? You know, 'cause with a lot of these craft, you see it's almost like folks, when you look at the hot road in a summer day, it's got that weird wavy effect, like what they saw a lot of in Stephenville, Texas.
I didn't see anything like that.
Okay.
This was night. The strange thing about this was when it flew over our heads, my wife and I just stared at it like dummies. You know, it was just a blank stare, just watched this thing and went right over our heads, just went down the shoreline as it passed, very slow. This thing wasn't fast. And the crazy thing about this is that we just kind of both looked at each other and thought, that was weird, and thought nothing of it. I didn't even bother to look at it through my night vision. We just stood there in awe of this thing and walked back to the hotel. And the crazy thing about this was, you know, like you, I don't say one way or the other because I don't know for sure. But when we went out, it was a lot earlier than when we came back in.
Missing time.
It's, you know, I don't want to speculate or say, but it was about 1:30 when we were back in the hotel. I thought, man, it got late fast. But
was there anybody else on the beach with you when you were out there, or did it seem like you were
not
the
a
only
soul.
souls out there?
We were the only ones out there.
Well, you know, the connection here is not just to Dr. Jonathan Reed. This goes back to Staff Sergeant Peniston as well in the Rendlesham Forest case.
Right.
Same exact type of craft, a small obelisk type craft. Now, when we say triangular, it's almost like, okay, you know, the Washington Monument, the big super tall Egyptian type obelisk that you see that's really super tall, pyramidal on the top.
Right.
It's almost like that. It's more linear. It's more almost missile shaped. So it's not like the traditional triangle that you would see, like what we saw at the Phoenix Lights in 1997 in Phoenix. Or like
it's kind of like an arrowhead, like an Indian arrowhead,
right?
But without the bottom thing. If you just had a typical spearhead, that's what I saw. And now time went by. There used to be an old cable show. It used to be on called Cosmic Connector or Cosmic Connection, something like that. And there's these two guys that were on public access cable, and they would talk about UFOs, and I would watch this because it was, you know, it was about UFOs, so it was exciting and interesting stuff to me. And they showed a picture of this thing, and it compelled me enough, which I would never do normally, especially back then. It compelled me enough to call the show and talk about it, what I saw, because the picture was of the obelisk in the Jonathan Reed case, and I said, that's what I saw. So, and I know there's a lot of controversy with this Jonathan Reed case, a lot, and you know, you have to just kind of dig in and do your own research on this thing, because I don't even know if this guy does public interviews anymore or talks on a public forum at all.
Right.
But all I know is it's a compelling case. It's one of the craziest out there. I mean, when it comes to firsthand, I mean, this guy basically hit an alien on the head, thought he killed it, took it home, put it in his freezer, in his garage. The thing wasn't dead. He examined it. He videotaped all this.
Right. And
a lot of the stuff that he did over the course of time studying this thing or dealing with it, a lot of that stuff, his place was ransacked by who knows who, and he lost a lot of the evidence that he collected over time. But anyway, so basically my point about this story is saying, hey, look, I've seen something similar to this, and
with no prior knowledge
prior knowledge of it, and so, you know, It's an interesting case, so something could connect to that.
Right, and then you got the Rendlesham thing that happened, and now that was in the 80s. And Sergeant Peniston, when he did a walk around, you can actually see the. It's like he's holding this little notebook, because that's what they do. He was in the Special Police, the Blue Berets, if you will, for the Air Force security personnel. And his handwriting is all scratchy. I mean, the guy was scared shitless. I mean,
are you talking about Colonel Holt? Or
no, Colonel Holt was there. No, Sergeant Peniston was the one. Yeah, he was the one that walked around and did the thing. But yeah, Colonel Holt. I mean, that guy's. He was pretty much. He was the big deal up there. I believe it was Bentwater was the name.
Bentwater, yeah, right.
Was the name of the
air base.
RAF, right. Pretty interesting and compelling stuff. Now, James has always really been into this particular case, the Jonathan Reed case here, and he's the one who actually turned me on to it. And I watched it, and there is a lot of stuff on there that is compelling. But then again, for me now, I am a believer, but I'm also a skeptic. I had a tough time believing what I was seeing, because sometimes you see something so fantastical, even if it's real, it's like part of you wants to rationalize and say, boy, I don't know, man. I mean, it was like straight out of Hollywood, dude. But the thing is, the dog and his breathing, this guy was, I don't know how he didn't lose consciousness, because he's got his camcorder on, he's going all over the place, it's panning all over, it's shaky, and he's like breathing like that the entire time, and then he did not stop. I don't know how he didn't pass out. The only logical explanation for him not passing out was his adrenaline. You know what I mean? Like the oxygen capillaries were opening up, and that was keeping him awake and aware. It was like he was in survival mode. It almost seemed like.
Not to mention the fact that every time he got close to the obelisk, there would be distortion on the camera.
Right.
So there's obviously some sort of energy field surrounding this thing, unless he altered it. You know,
right.
Here's
but the dog looked blown to shit. It looked like it imploded or something.
The dog, right?
There was
just
fur,
ash,
and it was partially.
It was like a white powder.
That's there was no black marks like what you would get from traditional burning, like fire, heat type stuff.
Right.
There was no residual.
And here's something that you see, and a lot of people have tried to discredit this. If you look in the video, you'll see the being blink.
Yeah.
And that's hard to fake. I mean, in my past, I've done things like haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in film. I'm not a special effects expert, but I've been around the stuff, and I know people who do. It would take a significant amount of money and a crew to pull something like this off. And
he was using a consumer-grade camera.
Right. And on that note, there was a TV show, I'm not going to name it, that they tried to...
No, we will not name it.
That they tried to duplicate this and ridicule the crap out of it, and even they failed.
Right. Well, not in their minds.
Not in their minds,
Dude, they were like, see, we did it. And it's like, dude, it's like the prop fell over twice. You know what I mean? What?
Sure, you can make it
you didn't do it.
Look close, but it wasn't close enough. There was a lot of...
It's a show that has to do with factual stuff and faked stuff.
Right.
You can read between the lines. But it's like it's headed by someone who's a former, in parentheses, government employee. I think it's a part of the disinformation process.
Right.
He under the guise of someone who's trying to get to the truth and the meat and potatoes, and he's standing on this staunch, this stance of we're here for the truth and this is what we're all about. And it's clearly not. That is not the case.
Right.
This guy has discredited some of the biggest names in ufology. Now, that being said, that is not the reason I don't care for this individual. It's the fact that just because you can duplicate something doesn't mean what you saw was fake. I'm 6'3", 240 pounds. I could put on a gorilla suit, walk around, and have James film me in Bluff Creek in Northern California, where the Gimlin-Patterson footage was filmed. Does that, just because I could duplicate what that did, even though I'm not 7'6" and 800 pounds, let's ignore that. Let's just ignore it. That's evidence. We don't want that. Just because he can film me walking through that same place doesn't mean what they saw in 1967 didn't happen.
Right.
You can duplicate a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy, especially they got a pretty big budget on that show. I mean, a huge budget. Hundreds of thousands of dollars per episode.
Well, I mean, there's so
play
many
with a lot of things.
There's so many parts to that are a little bit unbelievable from that show part.
Yeah.
As far as like they created a dummy of the alien in the footage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. It
Well,
looked like
using-
it looked like a good prop.
They were using but they were using materials found 10 years of new technology, and they're also using people who are in the Hollywood special and visual effects business.
Right. Now, if you see
Jonathan Reed wasn't into that kind of
right,
stuff.
and that's the thing, is that if you saw this, for him to duplicate that, he would probably be one of the top effects artists in the industry, and you'd have known his name.
Right, and he didn't make money on this. He lost money. In fact, he lost his job. It ruined his life.
Yeah, there's not a lot of financial gain in this business when you're coming public with information like that, especially. There's a lot of downside to it before, you're not going to get a paycheck in the mail as soon as you come public on YouTube.
Right. You're listening to The Rabbit Hole with John Fogel and James Sweet at KouvRadio.com. Give us a call, 360-977-LIVE, 360-977-5483, and give us a call. Talking about some interesting stuff. We're talking about Dr. Jonathan Reed and the strange obelisk-type shaped craft that was on the ground, just hovering just above the ground in the middle of a temperate rainforest, definitely Pacific Northwest. It was in Washington, the state of Washington, wasn't it?
Correct.
So it was in the state of Washington. Obviously, we're pretty familiar with that here in the Northwest. So it was very compelling. And again, you can't help but compare and contrast to the Bentwaters incident at the Royal Air Force Base in Bentwater and Rendlesham Forest there in the UK. Very, very compelling. And also, my cohort here, James Sweet, him and his wife in 1998, Cannon Beach, Oregon, had a sighting of the exact same type of craft. Mm-hmm. So, these three incidents are completely unrelated, and they span across 15 years, and still exact same thing happening with each individual person. So that right there, it's not a collaborative effort. It is what it is. 3 separate incidents, same type of craft.
And the strange thing for me is the fact that you think you'd be running down the beach checking this thing out. I mean, it stopped us in our tracks.
Right.
Just stood at it like, I don't want to say the word, but I'm going to have to, so you get an idea in your heads of what it was like. It was hypnotizing.
Yeah.
I mean, it just...
Not uncommon. Here's another strange thing that, the perception is weird, but it's not, because it's very common. When you have a sighting of this significance and it's this profound, you you try to do a little reality check, but you're like kind of in la-la land. You're not thinking right, because your brain is hardwired to rationalize, and you're not able to. So you're sitting there and you're just dumbfounded. Now let me take you back to April 2009. It was April 2009. We had a pretty significant storm out. It was blowing and rainy, and it was pretty nasty out. It must have been a night off for me. I'm usually working at night, but I was home, and our power went out. So our power goes out, and I'm just like, oh man. So my wife is upstairs in our bedroom. I went out to the garage to grab my railroad lantern, so we could see in the house. We heard a weird noise outside. Now, I can't describe it. It sounded almost like a house alarm, but it was a weird noise. I can't describe it. I can't imitate it, so just bear with me. Use your imagination. But as I come into the kitchen from the garage, an intense beam of light shining through the south side of my house, and it lit up that house like as if a helicopter were up there. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Man, that thing's close. But in my mind, I was like, well, how come I'm not hearing the rotor wash? How come I'm not hearing the motor? That's weird. As I'm walking through the kitchen slowly, the light starts climbing up as if whatever it is going over the house. I'm assuming it's a helicopter. In my mind, it's a helicopter. I can't hear it past the wind or whatever, Next thing I know, as I'm moving through the kitchen still, this light is shining brightly through the north side of my house. So clearly an object going south to north. And that's when I heard my wife scream, "Johnny, you need to get up here." So So, anyways, that is not what it sounded like, by the way. So, anyways, again, here I am. Here I am adding levity to a heavy situation because that's what I do. I don't want to sit there and go, oh man, it was so intense, and I'm going to get in the fetal position. I kind of want to look this stuff right in the eye and rationalize and figure out what it is. I go up there and I find my wife pointing out the window, which faces north into Washington. We're pretty high up where we live, almost 1,000 feet, so we're able to see into Washington. I mean, we can see Mount St. Helens. I mean, we got a really good view. I see this object. And it's going away from the house. It's disc-shaped. I can't even give you an idea how big it was because I have no idea how high it was. But I'm going to guess it was probably about, I don't know, 400 or 500 feet above us. And our house is about at 800 feet elevation. So anyway, this thing goes north, and it seemed to hover. It was still on the Oregon side, but it was somewhere around, if I was to guess, kind of almost like just south of maybe Jansen Beach or something. But this thing started spinning around. And we're sitting there looking at it. She's like, what is it? I'm like, I couldn't even say anything. I don't know. I mean, we're looking. I got a good idea what it is, but it wasn't impressing me just yet. As it seems to be spinning around, or given the appearance that it's spinning around, it's lighting up the sky. Purple, blue, green, yellow, red, hitting the whole color spectrum. It was like in flashes. Now, when I say it was in flashes, I mean it was in flashes. Now, mind you, it was rainy, and it was cloudy, and it was just gloomy out. But it was lighting up the whole sky in like a 15, 20-mile radius. All the clouds, everything around it would light up. Not on the ground, but it was more above it. As this thing's spinning around, it's kind of like dripping something. And if I was to akin it to something or compare it to something, it would be like molten slag. It looked like molten metal dripping down because it was white hot, but it still looked viscous. It looked fluid. And it was just dripping out of the bottom of this thing as it's spinning around.
Now, are you sure that this wasn't Venus having ball lightning?
Well, it could have been that or swamp gas.
Right.
Maybe space debris.
Space debris, that's right.
We jest in the rabbit hole. So as it's doing this, we're tripping out. My wife is pretty much in tears. She's freaking out. And here's the funny thing, and if she's listening, she's probably going to giggle out of this, but she goes, is it a transformer? You know what I mean? Like a transformer blowing? Like Transformer, yeah, maybe from the movie.
Optimus Prime.
Transformer. I mean, a transformer that flies over your house, lights up your whole neighborhood, makes the power go out. You know what I mean? Drips molten slag. So as it's doing this, we're tripping out, and it does this huge, this bright, brilliant flash of light, and it's just gone. It didn't zoom away. It was just gone. It did this big, bright flash, and it was just gone. Wasn't there anymore. The power was restored to our house shortly after that. Now, people, I had a fully charged camcorder with a blank tape in it, 10 feet away from where I was. Now, this is the point I'm getting to when James said he was standing there all dumbfounded, didn't know what to do. This is a perfect example of that. This is what we do, people. This is what we do. We are investigators. We are researchers. I did not have the presence of mind and wherewithal to turn around, grab that friggin' camera, turn it on, and make a couple $1 million. Maybe make a name for myself and say, here, disprove this, sucker. You know what I mean? I didn't even think about it. I didn't want to take my eyes off it. There are people who have had similar sightings, even more profound than this, than what my wife had, which I call a Spielberg-like sighting. We're talking close encounters, dude. And they have a camera hanging off their neck, and they don't take pictures.
Right.
So don't feel stupid for that. That's just the way it is. It's almost like
you don't want to miss whatever second
right
that you possibly could miss.
Right, and I've talked about this on another radio show I was a guest on, and this is this is what I think it might be.
Mesmerized.
You're it's almost like you're hit with an apathy beam. Like they give off waves of apathy. You know what I mean? Like we were excited, make no mistake, but it was kind of like, it's so hard to explain. It's so frustrating. I know I'm a show host and I can't explain it to you. You're going, come on, just tell me. But I can't. You're just sitting there. You're like, oh boy, what do I do? Don't want to take your eyes off it, but you're excited and relaxed at the same time because you just don't know what to do. You're truly, by definition, dumbfounded.
Right.
So don't feel weird. Now, I know a lot of you people out there hunt, fish. We're in the Pacific Northwest. You don't get more outdoorsy than you get out here. So I'm sure some of you folks out there have seen some stuff. I want to hear about it. 360-977-5483. 360-977-LIVE. Give us a call. We want to hear your story. We're about ready to wind this thing down. We're going to take one little break. We'll come back and give our goodbyes. And, again, I want to thank you for listening to the Rabbit Hole here at KouvRadio.com. And stand by. There's a little more to come.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
Question that brought me.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
It's the question that brought me.
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question that
And I
brought
show
me.
you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I didn't say it would be easy.
Question that brought me.
Welcome back to the Rabbit Hole, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back.
Here at KouvRadio.com, rocking it, Northwest style, yo.
We were just listening to Little Candles at 9.
Lovely as Venus. Venus with a V.
That featured Dean Castronovo, the drummer for Journey, doing backup vocals on that one. Yeah.
Oh!
Oh!
Oh! KouvRadio. Aren't you guys glad we're not that cheesy?
We could be, though.
We could. It'd be easy. It'd be really easy. We'd make it look good.
Yeah, hey. Maybe that's a selling point. We should try it next week.
There you go.
Maybe.
We're going to put on afro wigs and big sunglasses.
Rainbow-colored afro wigs.
Platforms.
Whatever works.
All right. We want to thank you for joining us here at KouvRadio.com here in the Rabbit Hole. I'm John Fogel.
I'm James Sweet. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And hopefully we kept your ear to the radio this time. And we're going to keep bringing some compelling stuff. And
right. We're going to start bringing guests in. We need a little more support from you folks out there in Radioland. Tell your friends about us. Get on Facebook. Advertise, man. Bring them into the fold because we're going to blow this thing up. This is going to be a big deal. You've heard of other paranormal shows out there, and we are local. We want to keep it local, and we want to put us on the map and make a big deal out of this.
Which we started this originally as a TV pilot, the Rabbit Hole. And so we're kind of incorporating this video podcast feed to launch this as the platform for the show. So it's in the infancy stages, but
it will happen.
Yes.
It will happen. And we're going to do better stuff than stuff that might be fact or faked out there. Stuff that could be, you see some people out there chasing UFOs, and you've seen a lot of different things out there. We're going to bring you something a little more real and substantial, but more food for thought. Again, thanks for joining us. We'll be here every Sunday night, starting at 10 p.m. Pacific time. And again, tell your friends about us, and don't be shy. Give us a call. Let us know. Even if you know us, give us a call at 360-977-5483. And give us a call, and we'll talk about some stuff. And again, we're going to be looking for some guests that we're going to bring on. We just want to make sure we got our crowd numbers up so we can bring it to more folks out there, because we got some really world-class guests that we can bring on this show. So
they just want to know we have a few more listeners.
Right.
So
they got books to sell, and in some cases documentaries that they want to push, and we want to help them out on their platform, get them where they want to go, so they can get us where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Again, thanks again, and you know what? Keep your eyes to the sky, keep your ear to the ground, and open your mind. I'm John Fogel.
It's James Sweet.
Thanks for hanging out with us on the Rabbit Hole. We'll see you next Sunday night.
Peace.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
Question that brought me.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
It's the question that brought me.
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question that
And I
brought
show
me.
you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I didn't say it would be easy.